We're talking about Brock Purdy. And the whole idea is he an elite quarterback, and what is an elite quarterback?
Okay.
I tried to make the distinction after this last game that he's really good but not elite, and my dad feels like that's where we should start the discussion.
What you said was he's a hell of a quarterback but not elite. So I love it. So elite, two meanings. One, has he had a distinguished career, a long-term career? No, because he hasn't been long-term. It's not his fault. Joe Montana is elite, and we could name others like that. We'll know about his longevity after a while. But is he, I'm sorry, guys, is he elite for what's going on this season? I would say no question that he is a top 5 quarterback, maybe better than that, certainly by the numbers, and that he is, based on what's happening this season and the current crop, he is an elite quarterback. Can you live with that, Iggy?
I can. I guess I'm trying to figure out why I made the distinction in the first place and what I was thinking. It's obvious that Brock Purdy is deserving of the MVP and is perfect for the team he's on and probably going to win the Super Bowl this year. So what else matters? I guess when I'm thinking what an elite quarterback is, let's say there were an expansion draft after the season and every team had to pick new players and there was a draft board of the best players in the league. How high would Purdy be on that? I figure in 1984, Joe Montana, even though he had some scheme-specific traits and you couldn't use him in every way, would have been really high on that kind of an expansion draft list in the NFL. Purdy might too. Where do you think Purdy would he be one of the top 10 quarterbacks taken? One of the top 10 picks overall? Does it even matter?
I don't think that's a good criterion. I think it matters not what he does before he comes in the league, what he does when he's in the league. Joe Montana was
no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I'm saying like if there were a draft, if like say every team had to get rid of all their players and every player was a free agent starting this offseason and there was a giant draft and a giant expansion draft with all the professionals, not just college draft players, where would Purdy get taken? Because the elite quarterback, I mean, Mahomes would be the first pick.
Yeah, I would think in terms of quarterbacks, okay, because teams might not want a quarterback. I don't know. But in terms of quarterbacks, he'd be one of the top 5 taken. I'd say no question about it.
And that makes him elite right there.
I think so.
Right there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, he's done everything they asked. The only thing we don't know about him is, can he bring a team back in an absolute pressure situation in a big game? But that's not a knock on him. He hasn't had to do it. And he may very well be able to do it. So we're not saying he can't do it. We're saying that's the next step. But for everything they've asked him to do, I'm going to use a silly word. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
Iggy, I love to watch him work. I love to watch him work. What a quarterback. So I would say, who's better than he is? Mahomes, Josh Allen, maybe. I mean, sometimes Josh Allen's his own worst enemy. Iggy, who else would you put ahead of him? Not the guy in Philadelphia. I wouldn't even put the guy in Dallas ahead of him. Are you there, Iggy? Oh boy.
Sorry, the internet just went out. Are you good? Are you there? I'm back.
I'm here. Yeah. Are you okay out there?
I'm okay. My internet just crapped out, but yours should be. I don't know. Can you see me?
Mine's fine. I can see you. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I said, Iggy, Mahomes and Josh Allen, maybe. Well, Mahomes, definitely. Josh Allen, maybe. Who else would you even put over him?
I mean, I'm going to say names and they're not having as much success. But again, if you put him on the Niners, I think they would. Justin Herbert.
He's a good quarterback.
See, I feel like that's why this discussion's so hard. It's like he's on a bad team. He has a bad coach. No one's helping him with the Chargers. So he doesn't look as good. But I'm sorry. I think if even the playing field, I would take him over Brock Purdy.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That still puts Brock Purdy in 4th place.
Okay. Well, there's Dak Prescott, who's doing really good this year with Mike
I don't
McCarthy.
like him. I don't like him
because he's had trouble in the playoffs. All right, that's a good point. So let's talk about Brock. Like Brock has had a lot of success in the regular season. He was in the playoffs last year. He won 2 games and got hurt. Don't you think his elite status is going to highly depend on what he does in the playoffs this year, or is he already established?
No, I love what you're saying. He's elite so far, but there's a lot of football to play, especially in the playoffs, and he will add and refine his definition, especially in the playoffs. So, but in terms of what's happened so far and all the quarterbacks, what they've done so far, he's elite. How it turns out makes this a fascinating season. There's more to learn.
Yeah.
There's more to learn about all of them.
There's more to learn about. Is he elite? Is he going to be worth the big bucks one day? Is he, all those questions he'll answer. I guess that's what elite means. But what's interesting is, so Mahomes is worth the big bucks. He's getting crazy money with the Chiefs. Look at the Chiefs. They're not a great team. They used to be a lot better. Their wide receivers aren't that good. They couldn't afford Tyreek Hill. They have problems. You know why? Because they spend way too much money on one player while the Niners don't. So, yeah, maybe having an elite quarterback is overrated, or whatever that even means.
Hey, look, maybe if Andy Reid privately had to do what he really wants, he'd rather have Brock Purdy at that price than Mahomes, because then he could get all the complementary players that he wants and needs.
Yeah.
So I would say part of Brock's elitude is that he's so cheap, because he brings other good players to the team.
He is. And someone made this point on a stream I did yesterday. When you're talking about most valuable player, by definition, it's Brock. Valuable? Look at what he gives you for his price. You know, he gives you MVP level play for nothing. Yeah, he's the most valuable player in sports.
I would have to agree.
Yeah. And we're going to talk later about the new wave at quarterback, but he's really changed how you look at the position. Before, it used to be there's only like 7 great quarterbacks in the world. They're all physically gifted. They're hard to find. They're worth a lot of money. So there's a scarce amount of them, and they're very valuable. Now it's like, actually, the skill set we thought we needed at this position, nah. It's a much more modest skill set. It's around. It's cheap. Changes everything. It might make the NFL a whole lot better.
And more watchable.
More watchable, because we see a lot of punting these days. Let's take some super chats. Jeffrey Ray says, Brock Purdy leads the league in QBR, pass rating, yards per attempt, TD percentage, completion percentage, air yards per attempt with 9.5 yards per attempt. Those are just stats. Love you, Jeffrey. Good calls are facts. Big facts. And he's not done. Jeffrey Ray, most through 12 games in NFL history. Competitors in this category are Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Boomer Esiason, Dan Marino, 3 were MVPs. Brock has the season A pass. I don't know what that part means, but yes. He's still going. Brock has 4 of the top 8 passer ratings this season, including a perfect pass rating of 158.3. Niners are also 11th at Yak. He's elite.
I think he's elite for this season, for what other people are doing. So I'm agreeing with that. My son is hesitating.
Was Kurt Warner elite?
In his career?
Yeah.
One of the all-time greatest quarterbacks. I loved to watch him work. Yeah. See, and he did it on 2 teams.
Yeah, he's interesting. So I'm trying to say, what would Brock do in a different situation? Let's remember Kurt Warner. So he bursts on the scene. He was undrafted. He goes to the Rams, and he has this great team. Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Oz Hakeem. Great weapons. And he has some great years with them, wins a couple MVPs, I want to say. Gets hurt, gets replaced, goes to the Giants, is terrible. Freaking, not terrible, but gets benched for Eli Manning, gets replaced, and finally goes to Arizona, has Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden, is good again. So an all-time great quarterback. Every quarterback needs good players around him. Every quarterback needs good players. Kurt Warner needed good players around him. Patrick Mahomes kind of struggling without good players around him.
Absolutely, and clearly lost his cool and had to apologize after that last game. Apparently, he yelled at Josh Allen after the game, and then he apologized. He said, Josh had nothing to do with it.
Nah, you were mad at your wide receiver who lined up offside. Yell at him.
With the toe there.
With the toe.
apparently, I mean, I hadn't, I don't think about these things. Before the play, you're allowed to ask the official, am I lined up correctly?
Do you ever see wide receivers put their hand out and look at the official? Do you ever see that? Ayuk does it every play because he's on the line of scrimmage. He gets to his spot, he looks at the official, he puts his arm out and gets like confirmation that he's not past the line of scrimmage. They do it every time.
This kid didn't do it.
Knucklehead. Sorry, can I call him a knucklehead?
Knucklehead.
But really, Patrick Mahomes should have been mad at himself. You know why? All that money he's making, you're going to have teammates like that. All that money you're making, you can't afford to have non-knucklehead teammates. So now you're in the knucklehead bin. You got knuckleheads on your team. That's on you. You don't want knuckleheads on your team? Take less money.
The knucklehead bin. I like it. I had never thought of a knucklehead.